friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle. I am back with another Inkscape tutorial. You can already see that I already have one part of the tutorial already done because holy cow, Sally took me like an hour and a half to do, and I have been using Inkscape for a very long time. So I decided to do the hardest one, and then we would work on the Jack one together. That being said, don't worry, both of these files will be a finished file available in my cardstock shop. So if you get frustrated or lost in the way, or you just want to skip through how to figure out how to make your own SVG file, you can go to my website and these will be available for you. That being said, this is going to be a two-part episode. So for the first episode, we're just going to learn how to make the layered SVG file of Jack. And in the second episode, I'm going to take these SVG files and I'm going to download them into Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to create something really cool with them. So you'll want to come back and watch episode 2 for this. Okay, so the very first thing you are going to want to do in order to get this screenshot is you're going to want to open up Safari. In the description of this video, there will be a link, and the link is going to look like this. When you click the link in the description, what will pop up is something that looks like this. I just found this at the Clip Art Library. I don't really know much about this website, but it seemed like it had some really good clip arts. So I just have this one open. This is the one that's going to pop up for you. What you want to do is you want to make this bigger. So on my keyboard, Command and the plus sign, if you're on a Mac, will make it bigger. And then you want to take a screenshot. For the Mac, it's Command Shift and 4. You get this like little aimbot, and you want to take it over the entire thing. Because we're doing just Jack, you technically only need Jack, but just to get you to where it looks like on my screen, you're going to want to take a screenshot of the entire thing. It's going to drop down here. Now with a blank window in Inkscape, you're going to drag this up and just bring it over. This box is going to pop up. We don't need to do anything besides press OK. So now we have our second screenshot right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one. You are going to notice that my Sally looks a little bit different than this Sally right here. It's just so that I've optimized it to be able to be very easy to assemble at a later time with the Cricuts. Okay, so we're gonna start with Jack. Generally, what I would tell you is that we need to trace the bitmap. However, we're not gonna do that today. Why? Because there is these gray dots inside of this, and I would never suggest taking a tracing bitmap on something that has like a watermark or dots or anything like that, because you will never get a very clear trace on what you're looking for. So we're going to just be playing with nodes today and drawing random nodes. This is why Sally took me forever, is because you have to play with a lot of nodes. Okay, so I'm going to work on Jack's face for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this circle, and we're just going to make a circle. Now I'm just going to make the circle any size right now, and I'm going to change it over to a lighter color just so I can see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to come over here into the arrow tool, and I'm going to drag it down. Now I'm going to resize this circle to about where it fits inside Jack's face. We're going to work on the white portion of his face. Don't worry about the black outline. Okay, with that done, I am just going to go into path and then object to path. Then what I'm going to do is come over here into this nodes tool, and I'm going to click the nodes. And do you see how now we have these nodes right here? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make these nodes, and I'm going to drag them and kind of line up the inside portion of his face. You can drag the lines. Do you see how I'm just dragging the lines and making the lines go just a little bit bigger? We're just going to go on the inside portion of his face. Okay, when you have it set to where you want it, I'm going to zoom in, pressing the plus sign on my keyboard. I'm going to send this portion to the back. So I'm going to use my arrow tool, and I'm going to send it to the back just for right now. Okay, going back over, I want to go into this pen tool right here. And then now we want to work on the inside portion of his face. So I'm going to start on this left eye. And I'm just going to start my dot at the very top of his eye. And if you think of this as like something that would need like a point for a curve, that's where I'm going to put a dot. So I'm just going to click my mouse, and like that would be like the start of like another corner We're gonna go here. It's okay if you miss some. We'll fix that later. Like that seems like it would start to curve a different way. This one, we're gonna curve it down. It needs to start curving up. It's okay if you put too many. It's okay if you don't put enough, because we'll fix that here in a minute. So I'm gonna put one here because that's gonna be in the corner of that eye right there. And then I'm gonna meet back up at the start point. Now that looks terrible, right? So let's go over into this nodes tool. And what you can do is you can just move the lines and adjust the lines to fit your needs. Okay, so let's say that I needed a node right here because this would not match up with the rest of my eyeball. What you would do is you would select the two nodes in between. So shift on the keyboard, select this one and this one. You want to add a node right here, so then you would just press that plus sign. Do you see how one got added? Okay. That is just to allow you to add a node in. Now, if you didn't want to add a node in and you wanted to delete a node, all you would do is select a node and delete it. Okay, and then if we click out of this, do you see how there is some like really hard corners right here? Besides these two right here, because we want to keep them hard corners. What I'm going to do is selecting only this node and then all the rest of the ones on the bottom. So we're going to leave these two right here alone because we want them to be hard corners. I'm going to come up here and make them smooth. And so now if we click out of it, do you see how now all of these are really smooth? Perfect. Now if you wanted to, you could go ahead and just maneuver these around just a little bit just to make them really even with your eyeball. There's one. We're going to leave it like that peachy color. We're going to go over into the right eye, going into the pen tool again. We're going to start at the very tip, just like we did before. I'm going to start going on to the right. So I'm going to go down to where it looks like it curves again. I'm going to come back up and I'm going to go, let's see, right here. And then we're going to go here. And now I'm going to go to this corner and over here. Looks like it starts to curve back down. Okay, I'm going to go into the corner right here, and then I'm going to meet back up with my starting point. That looks weird, right? That's fine. That's okay. So we're going to do the nodes tool again, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to readjust these lines till they fit to where I need them to be. Okay, if we click out of that, remember what we did for the last one. There is going to be some hard corners here. So we're going to go back and click onto it, and every place that is going to have like a rounded edge, we want to click the node, and then let's come back up here and make them round. Now if we click out of that, you see how this right here, just maneuver just a little bit, you can go back in and readjust these lines. Okay, now clicking out of that, once you get it to where you like it, that's perfect. We're going to keep it that color just for right now. Okay, so let's now work on the nose. This should be fairly easy. All we're going to do is we're going to go over here into this pencil tool. You want to make sure that your smoothing number is pretty high so we don't have a whole lot of nodes. Then all you want to do is you want to trace just the left nostril, and all you're going to do is trace it. We're going to start at one point and we're going to meet it back at the middle. And then just to make sure you have the right amount of nodes, let's click that arrow tool, and you see how there's only a couple nodes? That's great. Okay, we're gonna go back into that pencil tool again, and let's just do the right nostril just to save some time. Okay, too many nodes is kind of a pain in the butt to work with, so I always like to smooth that, and if you want to add nodes in later, you can. It's just easier and more easily manageable without so many nodes. Okay, so I clicked my arrow tool just so I can zoom in, and then I'm going to click that nodes tool. All you're going to do is the same thing we've done before, is we're just going to create our nostril. Now, if you feel like you need a node, like let's say this right here has a big gap, if you feel like you need a node, just click the 2 points that would be your middle points, shift on the keyboard, click the one. We want it somewhere right here. So you would click these 2 points, and then you would just come up here to this plus sign and it would add a node in there. Then you can just move that node around. Let's come over here. I think I need another one right here. So let's click this node and this node. We need to put one right here. We'll press that add. if this node right here isn't in the place that you want, you can take that node and then you can just drag it wherever you would want it to go. Now I'm going to click on the left nostril and I'm going to work on the left nostril. I feel like there's too many nodes right here, so I'm just going to click that node and delete it. I don't need so many nodes in this nostril. Okay, and then going back over into the right nostril, if you look that there's some hard corners, I think what I'm going to do is select all the nodes because it's a fairly round object that has no hard corners. So selecting all, coming here into this circle tool. Now it looks like it's really weird. So then we're just going to go back in and adjust these lines to fit my needs. There we go. Clicking out of that. I like that. That looks good. Let's zoom out, pressing the minus key. So let's work on the mouth. The mouth, I'm also going to use that pencil tool. We're going to make sure that the smoothing number is still high. I'm going to start at the bottom part of my mouth. I'm only going to do the actual smile part. I'm not going to worry about the stitching. So I'm going to start at the left and I'm going to go down. And it's okay if it's not perfect because like I showed you, we're going to be able to make the nodes, change the nodes, move it around. We just want like a pretty good guideline of what we want that mouth to look like. And then once I get to the top, I'm going to just go back down and around. And then we're going to meet to the very edge. Let go. Whoop! That kind of looks like a mouth that is a little funky. So let's go over here into the nodes. And we don't have a whole lot of nodes, which is good. But a lot of this is going to be curved. So what I'm going to do is select all the nodes that need to be curved and just curve them, just to make it easy and more simplified for us. So selecting the nodes that need to be curved. Let's zoom in. So clicking the arrow tool and we're just going to zoom in with a plus sign. Going back over into the nodes tool, and what you want to do is now you want to start moving your lines around. So I don't need this node, so I'm just going to delete it and I'm going to drag this one up. Now this portion, it depends on where your lines end up for you. So what my nodes look like probably won't look like what your nodes look like. So it is very important that you just know what to do with your nodes, where to delete them, where to move them, because just where you put your pen, where I put my pen are two very different things, which may have different nodes. I think I'm going to select that node and I'm just going to make it round. Okay, so I like the look of that. So then I'm just going to click that arrow tool. Okay, and then we're going to go back into the pen tool and I am just going to draw one stitch. So the same thing we've done before, we're just going to draw one stitch, meeting back to the very top. This looks like a funky pickle. Then we're going to go over here into the nodes tool and you just want to resize your stitch to fit your needs. Okay, when you have that done, you can just use the arrow tool. Now, this is like the super fun part when it comes to the stitch, is that they're gonna look awfully similar to each other. So having one stitch, I'm gonna Command D, which is duplicate, and I'm gonna drag this down. It will look like there was nothing there, but I promise you there was. You just wanna drag it down. Now, this is going to be about, kind of looks similar. So now all I'm gonna do is click that nodes tool and I'm gonna resize this stitch to look like that stitch that I just covered. Okay, when I have that done, I'm going to use the arrow tool and I'm going to Command D, which is duplicate, and I'm going to drag my duplicate down, and that seems to look like the same stitch, so I don't even have to do anything. Okay, Command D, which is duplicate, we're going to drag this down. This one needs a little bit of work, so I'm just going to go into the nodes tool and I'm going to readjust my nodes and my lines to fit my needs. Okay, when you're done, then just go up into the arrow tool, Command D, which is duplicate, and then move it down. Now this one needs to be curved a little bit, so I'm going to click on my object again, and the arrows went from diagonal to curved, so I'm just going to curve it over. Then I'm going to go into my nodes, and I'm just going to resize this stitch to look like the stitch behind we just covered up. Okay, when I'm done clicking the arrow tool, we're going to Command D, which is duplicate, and just drag this over. Now this one needs to be just a little bit bigger. So we're going to go to the nodes. I'm going to select the bottom nodes and then drag it down. Going to the arrow tool, we're going to Command D, which is duplicate. This one looks like it just needs to be curved a little bit. So let's just select it again and we're going to curve this to the left. That looks good. Okay, so then we got this one. So let's Command D, which is duplicate, and you just want to keep going through the entire thing until you have all of your stitches for your mouth. Okay, let's zoom out, which is minus key on your keyboard. Now that looks like a really weird jack right now because we have it different colors, but let's select every piece that we've created. So shift on the keyboard, clicking every random peachy piece that we created. We're gonna weld this together. So command shift and the plus sign. And then let's send this just to the lower level. And then we're going to click this, our screenshot. We're gonna send this all the way to the back. Okay, so this face right here, we want to change this over to white. Do you see how now we can see our jack? Okay, selecting, because this would be a really hard piece to layer on top of our jack at a later time. So what I'm gonna do is selecting the white face. I'm gonna press shift on my keyboard and that the peachy colors that we have. I'm gonna command shift and the minus key. We just sliced it right through. So this right here, if we drag this up, do you see how we have all these cutouts? That's gonna cut out later. Okay, so I'm gonna go back, so command Z. Okay, now same steps that we've done before with the face, we're gonna do it for the rest of it. But for this one, I am going to just do the neck. So I'm gonna come over here and instead of doing the pencil, I'm gonna do the pen. And I'm just going to draw just lines as like a box or a rectangle, coming back over to my original node. Now I'm going to come up here into this node tool and I'm going to drag this up because it looks like just this portion was a curved portion. If you can't see what you're doing, you can just select any color. Like I showed you earlier, we can change it when we're done. And that was it for Jack's neck. So I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Then I'm going to come over here into the pencil tool and I'm going to do the inside portion of the cat's eyes. Going back all the way around, doing the same thing with the right side. Let's just go all the way around. And this one looks really weird. This one I actually think looks really good. This one looks really weird. So let's go into the nodes tool and I'm just gonna make this match. Perfect. Just a little tweaking. Pressing the arrow tool. Okay, now let's do the inside portion of his jacket. This one, I'm gonna go over into the pen tool and I'm gonna start at the bottom and doing the same thing like what we did with his head. I'm just going to click random nodes in random places, kind of like at the corners of where things should be. Coming back to my start point. Okay, then I'm gonna come up into the nodes tool and I'm just going to drag my lines, filling up that space. Okay, and everything but the top and the bottom of the middle of the heart shape is a hard line. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all these other nodes that are supposed to be round. So clicking everything but the middle two. I'm gonna come up here and make them round. Now clicking out of that, you can see that my lines just got a little weird. So all you wanna do is reshape your nodes, and I think I'm gonna delete that one. Reshape your nodes, reshape your lines, until you get exactly what you're looking for. Okay, when I have that done, I'm just gonna click my arrow tool. Looks good. All right, so now let's do the entire black piece of his jacket. That would probably be the easiest. We're gonna go into the pen tool. I'm gonna start in the corner of his neck, just like this, at the very base of it. And I'm gonna click, and then I'm gonna go from corner to corner. And this one's going to be the same as what we did before. So we're just gonna randomly click because it's all curved. You want to make sure and get your corners in there. Okay, when you're done at the very top, you meet back at your original point. Just make sure and click the point. Now you have a funky looking shape, but that's okay because we're getting ready to fix it. Now we know how, right? Okay, so I am going to change this over into just to a different color so it doesn't match my neck. And then I'm going to go over here into the nodes tool and then same thing we've done before, just moving these nodes and the lines. Okay, so I want to make sure that I have rounded edges instead of corners, just like we've done before. So I'm going to click on one, make it round, click on another node, make it round, and we're just going to make all these nodes round. Okay, that looks like something that I'm going to be happy with, so let's just click out of that. That looks pretty good. You will notice that my neck to my jack, if I bring this forward, it's going to cut into that. That's what I want. And I'll explain that later, but just keep it like that where it just cuts in. So if you didn't create this little piece to fit over that, just come back over into the peach piece and just drag the head just up a little bit higher. Okay, so I am going to send this portion to the back for right now. We need to work on the inside portion of the gray. So I'm just going to select my pencil tool again, making sure the smoothing is good. And I'm going to draw these shapes. I am not going to go to the VRE edge like what the original screenshot shows, only because it's going to be very difficult to piece it together later. So I am just going to go to towards the end, but not all the way there. Okay, so you can see how this piece doesn't go all the way to the end. That's perfect. Now I'm going to connect these two pieces together. Okay, these three lines look like they're about the same as these three lines. So I am not going to do the right side. I'm only going to do the left for right now, and you'll understand in a little bit because we'll be able to duplicate them. Okay, and so for this one, because the right side looks like it's like the left, I'm just going to go up and only do the left side. When you get there, just connect and let go. Okay, same thing that we've done previously. Let's zoom in. We're gonna go to the nodes tool, click on one of our shapes, and we're just gonna create our lines. You don't want, for me in my SVG file, I do not want to cut into my black piece. Okay, when I have that done, I'm just gonna select the inside nodes because it's not hard. These are all kind of rounded edges. Okay, then I'm gonna come up here and soften them up. This line right here needs to move just a little bit. Just rearranging the nodes. Okay, that looks good. Moving it to the next one. Move these nodes around. Okay, I think I like the look of that. So I'm going to select the nodes on the inside and just curve them just like how we did with all the rest of them. Making sure that this looks good. This one right here I don't think it needs a node, so I'm just going to delete that and move this line down. Okay, perfect. And let's do this one right here. Same thing that we've done with everything. Okay, I like that. So now let's go into this last piece. This is like a marathon. Okay, clicking the arrow tool, let's zoom out, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so everything that we do on the left, we're gonna do on the right. So I'm gonna select all 4 of these objects, and I'm gonna Command D, which is duplicate. It'll look like nothing happened, but let's just reflect this, and then we'll drag this over to the right. Okay, so it looked like everything on the right was the same as everything on the left, but clearly it's not. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna resize these to fit my needs for the left side. Drug this, made this bigger. Just doing the same thing that we have done with everything else. We're just going to remake these lines to fit. Okay, looks good. Thankfully, that wasn't a whole lot more work than what I thought it was going to be. Okay, let's zoom out. For the lines that we just created, let's change and select these all over. So we're gonna select these. We're gonna switch this over to a color we haven't used yet. And then I'm gonna Command Shift in the plus side. I'm gonna weld these together. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is taking my screenshot, I'm going to drag this over. Okay, do you see how this is now going to be our layered SVG file? If we zoom in, do you see how this right here is going to be larger than the orange? What I'm going to do is go back into my nodes tool, and I am just going to make this like whatever is too big, because I don't want things to be too big. I want them to be on the inside, right? I want the purple to be cut out. So I'm going to make sure that there is not anything hanging over or too close that it will tear. Okay, it looks good. Now I'm going to take this because we have a free floating head from the neck. Let's just take this neck and we'll just drag this down. Okay, looks good to me. Now let's back out. So we need that like edge of our head. See that black edge of our head? So I'm going to take this head, I'm going to Command D, which is duplicate, and I'm going to Command Shift and 0. And I'm just going to make a outline, just a little bit. Okay, then what you want to do is Command Shift K, which is releasing all the paths because we don't want the inside cutouts. I'm going to select the 3 little cutouts that were revealed and just delete it. I'm going to select that and I'm going to turn it black. And let's send this to the back. See how now this looks like this? We're on the right track. So for the neck, I'm going to do the same thing, Command D, which is duplicate, and I'm going to make it larger. So Command Shift and the 0, making it just a little bit larger. I'm going to change this over to black, and I'm going to send it to the back. Okay, and then it looks like this very orange piece that's right here, that also needs to be black. So I'm going to just click that and change it to black. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the black of his jacket. I'm going to select Shift on my keyboard, and then the black of his neck and the black of his head. So you're going to have 3 pieces selected. I'm going to Command Shift and the plus sign. Now, it will look like nothing happened, but if we bring this to the front, this black piece right here is one solid welded piece. That's going to be your very back portion. So I'm going to Command Z. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to send it to the very back. Okay, so the chest and eyeballs are going to be white. So let's just select the chest and the eyeballs, pressing Shift on our keyboard and selecting those 3 pieces. We're going to change it white. And let's Command Shift and the plus sign. Okay, we already have the purple already welded. Let's change that over to gray because it's going to be gray. Oh, let's change his neck over to white. Now, I think I'm going to weld his neck to his head. So I'm going to press Shift on my keyboard, clicking the white of his head, and I'm going to Command Shift and the plus sign. That way he just has one long neck and there's less pieces that I'm going to have to glue later. Okay, so if we left it the way that it is, we're going to have like a lot of pieces right here. And if you make this really small, it's going to be hard to glue together. So we have this white piece and then this gray piece, and then we still have this black piece. So then let's just Command Z. I'm going to put everything back together. Okay, I'm only going to select the 3 pieces down here, and I'm going to Command D, which is duplicate. I'm going to drag this over here. And I'm going to make a couple duplicates of this. So Command D, which is duplicate. And let's just do one more for safekeeping, just in case we need it. Okay, so for the very back piece, that is going to be white. So for this, there's going to be like a white piece right here. So I'm going to take this, drag this up, and I'm going to make this white. Okay, so I'm going to select that white piece, pressing Shift on my keyboard and this black piece, and I'm going to Command Shift and the minus key. Now I'm going to drag this up, and I'm going to send it to the front, and this is going to be your gray. I'm going to put that right there. Okay, I can go ahead and delete that. Now for this one, I'm going to click the chest portion, Shift on my keyboard, and also that gray. I'm going to Command Shift and the plus sign, and then I'm going to press Shift on my keyboard, clicking that black, and Command Shift and the minus key, and I'm going to drag it up. Okay, clicking this, I'm just going to delete that. This right here, we're going to keep black, and if we drag this up and arrange this to the front, what you're going to be left with is 1, 2, 3 pieces. These are going to be a lot easier to glue than those small little pieces. So I'm going to select all 3 of those pieces. I'm going to come down here to align, go to last selected, and we're just going to align these together. Okay, when I have that done, I'm just going to drag this down. We're going to delete this because that was our safekeeping one. We didn't need that anymore. Now coming over here, I'm just going to delete all these small pieces because we don't need it. This one right here was our large piece. We're going to keep that. Now I'm going to drag this piece and bring it all the way over and align this with that. Okay, and that is essentially your finished SVG file. If you wanted to, what you could do is you can move all these over. You see this white right here? What you can do is you can select that white, pressing Shift on your keyboard and selecting the white of Jack's head, and you can Command Shift and the plus sign. That's just welding it together. So in all actuality, what you're going to be left with is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces for a layered SVG file. This will be so much easier to glue or to layer if you're using any type of vinyl or HTV. This would be so much easier. Okay, I'm going to push it all back together. Okay, now that we have that done, the marathon is over, and now you'll have a layered Jack SVG file. Then you can go ahead and delete this one right here. If you want to resize this, make sure that this is locked right here, and then you can resize this any size you want. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into File and then Save As. Okay, I am going to save it as this file, and I'm going to go from Inkscape over to plain SVG, and then I'm going to press Save. So if we were to go into Cricut Design Space, we're going to go into the hamburger buttons, and then we're going to go into Canvas. Okay, let's go into Upload. And then we'll go into upload image. Then we're gonna drag in our saved SVG file. I'm gonna leave it the way that it is and I'm gonna press upload. Finding my file that we just uploaded, we're gonna do add to canvas. And there is our saved SVG file. And if we make this big, look at that. We created our own SVG files. How sticking cool is that? All right, so I will see you on episode 2 where I turn this into something really cool. I hope I inspired you to make, and I'll see you later.